Welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. This is the place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you are hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself, even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I am your host, Nabuguzi Kiwanuka, a lawyer, founder, team lead of Akoth Foundation, an addict and lover of insightful conversations, and a professional unraveler of social constructs. With us today is the knitwear designer extraordinaire, Akoth Otieno. She is the creative director and founder of Olisa Kenya, a knitwear brand that caters to women who care about individuality and originality. On this episode, she and I talked about her journey of growth and all you need to know about her brand. So let's get into it. Akoth Otieno. So many Otienos, man. So many of them. Welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know, do you Otienos get to come up with something for me? Because I think I've loved you so much or something.
There has to be something with the name though. Clearly we're here.
Maybe I love the night.
There's that.
I love the night. Oh my goodness, that's so wrong. So welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. Mm-hmm. Tell us who Akoth Otieno is. Let me do do the unveiling for us, because these people don't know who is before me.
Where to start is a question generally, but my name is Akoth Otieno.
Yeah.
And I am generally curiously inspired by the limitless possibilities of craftsmanship.
Craftsmanship.
For the most part, yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a family of 7. Yeah. Which then means somewhere at some point in the world I had to struggle to find my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, which has also inspired a bit about who I am.
Right?
Yeah.
When you say that you struggled to find your voice, that sounds like there were so many people talking at the same time and you're like, hey, me too. I'm here.
I'm here. Okay, fine. Thing is, I don't know about you, but generally what I think is how we get to that place where we define who we are is by figuring out the things we do not like in other people and or the things we generally do not like about life.
Yeah,
so coming from a space where I come from a family of 5 men. Okay, 5 men. Okay. That meant that at some point you had to learn to fight, if not survive per se. So that also meant that I had people, on the flip side, I had people I could look up to and say, I like these bits, but these bits not so much. So I found my way around by figuring out, having conversation with them and knowing these are the parts of them I want to be. Yeah. When I grow up, or if at all I do.
Oh my goodness.
And then the bits
how
are
old,
if
at all you do? Did you really have that in mind, if at all you grow up?
Yeah.
How old were you at that time?
I don't know. It was, how you get to that point where I think I was, when I was class 8, I was like 13.
Oh, 13,
14, somewhere around there.
Well, I think by the time I hit that age, I was sure I'd grow up. No, for me, I now when you say that, I was like, wait, what's the story here? Because now for me, I experienced death at a very early age. Yeah. I mean, I experienced it before I was even born. So when I was at the age of 6, most of my paternal family members were really falling off the earth, like leaves falling off the tree, like So when I was 6, I was like, I used to sit by a window in class, and I would look at the primary 7 class. That's the highest in our primary school. Yeah. I would look at it and I'd be like, that class is far. I've died. So I knew, if at all I grow up, I was like, wait, what's here? Because I feel like I was the only person who was in that moment.
Yeah, I think for me, by if at all I grow up is, first of all, generally I think growth is a process. And we also get to decide what does growing up look like.
Right.
For me, and at what point, you know? And I grew up in a group home generally, and what that meant was on the question of death.
Yeah.
It was mostly orphans. It was an orphanage home. So there was that. But up until that point, you know, when having a single parent or not having parents at all was like the norm. Like in the sense that I grew up in a space where most people didn't have both parents. So it wasn't, yes, I understood the depth of it or the gravity of it, but at that point I didn't quite understand it. Like, what does it mean? Fine, it means that we're here because most, if not all of us, lack A, B, and C, and we need support for the same. We are here, but you see, at that age where most of us were young, it was, people get there sometimes in the 7 or 8, or, you know, and you meet kids, and you all are just given space to just be kids. And as a child, since no one gives you really the space to talk about what loss felt like at the time. I mean, I didn't really experience loss at the time. I had both parents. My mom was working there, so there's that. But there was no space to talk about that. We're here, we're going to school, we're happy, if not at all, most times. You know, we have food when we can, and it was a healthy environment, if you ask me. But mostly, I call it healthy because at the time, one, you do not know better. So
that's all that you know.
That's all you know. And then you grow up and you leave the space and you're like, oh,
what was that?
What was that? You know, like, what was that food? You know, but at the time, life is good. And then you grow up and you step out of it and you start appreciating the impact of it. So like, for example, for me, it was in that space that I got to actually understand what emotional connections feel like. Because you're put in this space where you're new people, okay? Your next bedmate, or you have no idea you're going to have someone new tomorrow, and this is someone who has experienced loss. Okay.
So they would keep changing.
Sometimes they would. And you have to be in this space where it's not like you have to be there for them per se, but it wasn't also a question of you have to be there for them. By virtue of them being there, they're technically your friend. You're young, you don't so, and then you walk out of that space and you're like, I'm a better person because of that. Forget all those tiny little things like you have kale that was sukuma wiki that was so big you can't even, you know, oil floating randomly somewhere on food. You know, it's just all those aside. You look at it from a different eye and everything is just totally different. Then I left that space and then I went to high school. So the flip side of high school is I'm surrounded by rich people, sometimes people who are rich as fuck. And you're here and you're like, okay. Now what's this? You know? And then
did your parents ever talk to you and, you know, tell you something like, hey, you're going to go to this school, you're going to find this and that, but you need to know where you're coming from? Did they ever have that kind of conversation with you?
Not really, but I did have a random conversation with my grandmother at some point. And I remember her saying it wasn't really about going to high school experience. It was more like, thing about being anywhere is you're going to work in there and you're always going to meet something new or someone new, sometimes something really uncomfortable. Because I remember going to high school for the first time and I had a really heavy accent, that Luo accent. You know? And I remember for like the first time I had, you know, those places you're like, if I talk, hey, you know, I had that.
And I can't really relate, I think.
I think for me,
I can't really relate. But there were days when for me, the only times I got silent, the years I was silent were, or maybe the years that I chose to speak Luganda.
Yeah.
Where the reason was because I was scared of being bullied. I had been bullied in primary school because of how I spoke English. Yeah. So when I joined secondary school, I was like, the bullying cycle has to stop.
Yes.
I'm going to speak Luganda.
Yes.
No one is going to hear me speak English.
That's amazing.
Oh, friend, I got punished for speaking vernacular. I got punished. It's like every year I had to wear a sock, or I had things would be pinned on me, like don't come near me, I am dangerous, I will poison you with vernacular, something like that. I was always in that space.
I think for me, I'm glad you figured that out early. I think for me, it wasn't even about the bullying that came with it. I think for me, it was the class around it. Okay, so picture this. I go to high school, and you're somewhere in your first year, and everyone else has paid school fees, and you happen to be the only one in that class that had to go back home because you do not have school fees. I remember, no, we were two of us, and at that time, there weren't even, I think, the school I went to, they were not big on sending people home. So for them to actually send you home,
it was really big.
It was really big.
Yeah.
So I remember going and going back home because the teacher called me, but they were really nice about the whole process. They just call you outside, talk to you, blah blah blah.
Oh, they wouldn't come with a sleep and read.
No, they wouldn't do that. No,
it's good, man. They did that enough.
So it was a very dignified way.
Oh,
they had a dignified way around it, and I really appreciate them for that. So but then there's a process of you have to go home. But what they used to do is they let you go off on a weekend. So on a Friday they send you home. On a Monday, because I remember on a Monday sometimes they'd call to ask you to come back to school.
Really?
Yes. So that was really good. Because I remember they did that sometime when I was in Form 1, and then later, the next time they did it, it was in Form 4, and the syllabus was over at the time. So, you can go home, stay a week, come back with whatever money you have. And I think that was really amazing. Yes. So part of the finding voice process for me was I'm in a space where everyone seems to have figured this life thing out. And I'm from this space where I do not know much about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, like outside of Rose Muhando's songs, and you have no idea what else.
Yeah.
And the hymns you sing at school, it was a good process, but then it didn't expose as much. So you go out there and the world is fresh. You're faced with, now you have to face what maybe poverty looks like and what it means.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a 15 or 14-year-old girl, it's waters you have to figure out as you go. So in my head, maybe at the time, I thought, my accent would
sell me out.
Would sell me out or something.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those weird teenage things. Okay.
And it's teenage. Man.
Yeah.
You're starting to notice everything.
Every single thing. And then I've never been really the girly type. I am not, even how I dress, how I sit, it's just one of those things.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sister.
So by the time I realized, okay, fine, this is happening. I mean, I have to deal with the fact that backgrounds are going to be different, that people who are coming maybe from the same space I'm coming from. And that does not mean life stops. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dived back into my space. I became the tomboy I was meant to be, and just life started feeling good. Probably sometime in Form 2, and yeah.
And you weren't scared of speaking?
Nah, not again.
And they had to deal with it.
Yeah, they had to deal with it. But it improved a bit.
It got polished.
It got polished. I got my English together, you know.
So in all this time, you're trying to figure out life. You're experiencing all these things that you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
Was there something that you wanted to be?
Interesting. I feel like I'm one of those people. I have wanted to be 100 things.
Yeah.
And I felt like it kept changing every time. And most of it is because, it's chaos theory. At every point in life, something is happening. Something sometimes profound, sometimes utterly simple happens. And then, the course of life changes. And you're like, maybe I can be an architect. I think that's the one that really stuck, though. I kept switching from I want to be a dancer. Sometimes in high school, I actually wanted to be a dancer. And funny, I can't dance now.
Were you good, though? I have a feeling you might have been sketching it.
Come on, I was good. I think I was good.
Because dancing never goes.
They let me say that.
Do you know how many musicians are making us suffer? Do you know how many are making us suffer with their fake music? So, well.
40 people couldn't have possibly lied to me like that,
Well, we love our people.
Good point. I appreciate, in the event that was bad, I really appreciate the support. But yes, at some point in high school, I wanted to be a dancer. Mm-hmm. You know that season where I thought I was really a good break dancer, but mostly I
break dancing.
I thought I was good.
Was it a mixed school?
No, it was a girls' school. I went to my girls' high school, Eldoret. It's a national school, and it's an all-girls school.
I got challenges when I joined. I was in a single-sex school from primary 4 to until I finished my primary.
Yeah.
And this was my first time to see these many girls in one space, and I couldn't even play anything with them because I had grown up with boys.
Yeah.
I only knew how to play football, and they weren't doing that. And I think I just floated through life in those years.
Yeah.
And then I was slapped with teenage girls,
walking
with their hands at a certain angle, swinging their waists, and I'm bouncing. And I'm like, I get how do I manage?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I won't die. Let me do my thing.
You can't kill yourself.
But then sometimes I would sit and I would look at them. I was like, where do they get this energy from? Like, you have to keep your hands at a certain angle, and then you have to walk like.
Teenage angst comes with some things, and sometimes. Yeah. But I don't know. I generally, if you ask me, I think I was in a really good school.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, I think they did everything they could to make sure no matter who you are, somehow you found somewhere to fit in. And I think that was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
At least for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I could be biased. Who knows? But
no, sometimes you can be in the same spaces and we have completely different experiences.
Yes. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had people who are like, oh my God, that was my worst experience in my head. I was like, yo.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that school, I couldn't have gotten, say, the level of exposure I got. It literally maybe gave me a leg up in the sense that it exposed me to new ideas, new things, new people. For the first time, I'm in a space, not really the first time, but I was in a space where the people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, and I just found that so overwhelmingly beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here we are, you're talking about being an architect.
Yeah.
I was about to say architect. Here you are, you wanted to be an architect. How many years did this dream take? And what inspired it?
I think for me, initially it was just the idea of building.
Yeah.
And I love processes generally. I mean, anyone who is good with their hands, those are things are a big deal for me. And initially, buildings generally, not just as points of history, but buildings, I find buildings really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other way perhaps would have been, be an engineer, but in my head I was like, there's a bit more art and design to architecture. So in my head I was like, you know what? Perhaps. It was really fascinating. Although at some point I also wanted to be a journalist.
Was that at the same time? Were these happening
No, in primary school. My very first dream, my very first dream was to be a journalist.
Wow.
And half of it was because I wanted to be on TV. You know, you know. And then at the time,
wow,
my compositions happened to be really good.
Yeah.
You know, I was like top of my class when it comes to English compositions.
Like, this is it.
You know, and
my
English teacher used to really dot on me. My God. So it was like, I could actually be a fully fledged writer. I can make this a profession.
Yeah.
You know? And then I was like, the idea of journalism just, you know, built up. And I had it for a while, you know, until maybe high school. At that part where now we have to decide what you want to do with our lives. Okay? You know, you have to pick. And then like, at that time, I was also just already fascinated with the idea of, you know, architecture and buildings and the design of it. So yeah, that's where architecture came in. Yeah, but I ended up in law school. So yeah, that happened.
You surprised me. That part surprised me. But then I don't know why I was surprised.
Why? Okay, it's not like I expected you to know that.
I didn't. I didn't. I don't know it, but well,
it's not one of those things I say often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's boring to say.
Not really. If you love it, it comes up in conversation naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
no. My problem with me actually barely saying or speaking about it is that people look at lawyers in a different light, and I wish someone told me this before I got into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go at a family gathering, you stand up, and you know you're introducing yourselves. You know, you're catching up as family, getting to know each other, and you're like, "I'm a lawyer," and suddenly everyone wants to relate with you, and I'm like, "No, before you didn't see me." You know, there is this kind of glorification that the thing comes with, and I don't like it because I'm always a backbencher. I had been a backbencher. So people look at them as demigods. I'm like,
So your only problem is the glorification of who you are.
Like, how
is that a bad thing? I'm like,
it is too much. It's not even genuine because I feel like it doesn't even bring you genuine people. All of a sudden, everyone wants to have your what? My contact?
Yeah.
No.
In case I need you.
Whereby they don't even need you at some point. They never need you. They may call you to tell you stuff that they don't pay for even.
I know that part.
So yes, you ended up being a lawyer.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. We barely know you as a lawyer.
Yeah, I know.
Take us through that.
So here's the thing. I went to law school. Initially, to be honest, okay, fine. I didn't know it was not what I really wanted to do. But it wasn't at the top of the list. Yeah. But I get to law school the first year, you know, and you know how you get there and you're like, my life is just about to have purpose.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're there and you're like, if it feels right, this is something I actually want to do. But then I realized somewhere in the process that this is not it.
Yeah.
You know? And at the time, to be honest, when I figured out this wasn't it, I still didn't know what was it. Yeah. So
that can be scary.
I'm in first year. I'm in this space where...
You noticed that in your first year?
Yes.
Wow.
I know this isn't it.
Yeah.
But I also know, if not this, then what? Right? So, and then it's at that time, then now I started trying to figure out what else?
Yeah.
This is not obviously. So what else? And I'd always been interested in fashion. I love dressing up.
Yeah,
I really do. Like the excitement of just putting an outfit together and it works. That really excites me. So it's.
And yet here we are. Some of us don't.
I love clothes.
Yeah.
Maybe just not the whole styling aspect, but I generally love clothes. I love looking at clothes. I love touching clothes.
Yeah.
So at the time I thought, so with this in mind, I started with tiny little things I like. With this in mind, what else? What next could I possibly do, right? Mm-hmm. So I randomly applied for some merchandising jobs. I don't know if you know Mr. Price. Yes,
I do.
Yeah, I applied for a merchandising job at Mr. Price.
What is a merchandising job like?
It's those people who decide what storefronts look like. So you basically design the storefront.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a job.
It's a job. People go to school for that thing.
So, really?
So yes.
I didn't know that was a job.
Yeah, I applied for the job, and actually, here's the thing. A friend of mine, she's called Cynthia. God bless her. So Cynthia tells me, there's a job I was supposed to go for, but I don't think I want it anymore. But I think they are still taking interviews.
Yeah.
So that would be my first interview. Truth be told, I didn't even carry my CV. I was young and stupid and very reckless, but
yeah.
So I got to the deacon's
You're
offices.
still a law scholar.
Yeah,
meanwhile.
I'm still a law scholar. I wasn't dropping out. I think generally I knew I wasn't gonna drop out.
Yeah.
So I go to this interview, and it hits me. I'm there, and I'm like, what are people supposed to bring? So, and then what I do is I look.
Why didn't you ask your friend?
Not honestly. Here's the thing. I didn't even think I'd go. So here's what happened. I'm in town. Yeah, I have a class. Like I'm supposed to have a class in like 2 hours, and I'm in town, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just go see. I'll decide after I've seen what the officers. Maybe these are people I want to work for.
Yeah.
So I go there, and they have these things on the wall, like when Deacons was started, how many stores they have, and whatnot. I'm like, okay, now at least I know 3 or 2 things, okay? Yeah. And then I go to Google, and I start Googling, and and then I get there. Now, the interview, we were like a lot of people in a room, basically, and she was firing random questions. So what I usually do when I'm nervous is I look someone straight in the eye. That
really?
Yes, that's
when you're
generally.
nervous.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite of what most people do.
Because if I look aside, you will notice I'm nervous.
Thank you.
So
thank you. Right. Yeah. Right.
And when you see me looking at
you might think I'm confident.
Yeah, and I know what I'm doing and or saying.
Oh yes.
So
yeah. Okay. Again, nice to meet you. Pleasure.
All mine. So I'm looking at her straight in the eye, and then she's like, what's your name? And then I'm like, my name is Akoth. Do you have another name? And then I'm like, my name is Akoth Otieno. Do you have another name?
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, do you need my ID? And then she's like, why don't you just say it? Then I tell her, I do not like it, and I also do not want you to call me with that name.
Yeah.
And then she says, she asked everyone to leave. And then she's like, let's start with her. So
I know.
I know. I think I have the job. Right. So we start talking, and she asked what I know generally about Dickens and Mr. Price and why I want to work at Mr. Price. And when she asked me why, I just say I love clothes. And she asked me, what do you love about clothes? And I go on and I go on. And then she's like, I get it. And then she asked, do you have a CV or anything else I can look at? And then I'm like, not really, but I can speak to my lack of experience,
Yeah.
I mean, blah, blah, blah. I just basically told her. Then she's like, okay, come back tomorrow. Tomorrow you can start at Mr. Price Capital Center. And I was like, yo, is it this easy to get a job in this country?
Just like that.
But yeah, so yeah, that's how I got the job.
getting any other person on the interview?
Yes. She didn't even say, we'll get back to you now. She gave me the job on the spot. The following day, I started working at Mr. Price Capital Center. So while at it, okay, I realized the business of fashion is complicated. Which, I mean, I was going there to just, find out if this is what I like, if this is what I want.
Yeah.
And which part of it I actually like. So I didn't like merchandising very much. That was obvious.
So that particular thing of dressing, what did you call it?
The storefront.
Yeah.
Designing what
it's called merchandising.
Like. Yeah, that's merchandising. Like, how they say in a supermarket also, like, what goes where, what goes on the top shelf, what comes on the bottom shelf. It's a whole psychology thing.
Really?
Which foods go on what goes on the first aisle and on the last aisle. But yeah, it's a whole psychology thing. Yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
I thought people just randomly say, here, food, cereal.
No, not really.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the same way. I don't know if you know Kinder Joy. There's a reason why usually it's this thing for kids, sweets, chocolatey-ish thing for kids. There's a reason why they only put it at the counter. Because at the counter, you're already there with your child.
Yeah.
The child has seen it. And the child
actually
is the
there
client.
for some time.
Yeah, the child is the client.
You're in a queue.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my goodness.
The child sees that and they're like, I want this. And the thing about it, she will start crying. And she will embarrass you. And she'll end up getting what she wants. So it's...
Wow.
So yeah, that's basically how it works.
What?
So yeah.
I never thought about it. Yeah. So you were there at Mr. Price while juggling school as well?
Yes. I used to go sometimes. Let me not say this out loud, but I missed a couple of classes.
I know,
somewhere.
because...
But yes.
Yeah. Because I was wondering how you were managing.
Yeah. Yes. So that happened. And then somewhere in between, okay, I asked them to transfer me to another outlet.
Yeah.
And then they transferred me to Baby Shop. Okay.
Okay.
So at Baby Shop, why do I feel like they need to hire me right now? I've talked a lot about the man. This is marketing. But
they need to pay.
They need to pay. So I go there and I learn about a whole fabrics and, what the process of standards and what goes into making fabrics, especially for babies, and why that's important.
Oh.
So I think it was part, generally speaking, working at Mr. Price for me gave me an insight of what running a fashion company ideally would look like. Like, what are some of the standards we need to adhere to, and why? And then the aspect of who are we selling to, and why? It's things like that. So it moved from I just love clothes, to what does it take to make good fabric? Because right now, if you ask me, I can't tell you to go and buy at Mr. Price.
Oh.
To be honest, I can't tell you to do that.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just a thing. The fabric is very flimsy. They have good things. There are things that are good, but generally speaking, they have really... It's fast fashion, so they want you to come back and buy again over and over and over. So that's the thing. So what goes through the processes like that? So those are the things I was interested in. So, and then there's also coming from a background of my mom. My mom used to be a home science teacher.
Home science teacher?
Yes.
Who is a home science teacher?
Do you know home science? I don't know what it called, home economics?
Oh!
Yes, so here we call it home science.
Right.
Yeah.
I would never figure it out. Now, I would never have done that. If you didn't know home economics, I was never going to understand. Because now I was starting to imagine that I think the parents that want extra classes in science take the kids to her home.
Okay, glad we're on the same.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. So that I had a background of. She was, how people she was generally good with her hands. My mom was always good with her hands. And I have an auntie also who was really good with her hands. And she used to knit. My auntie
yeah,
used to knit.
yeah.
And it just used to really fascinate me. And she also used to do embroidery. So I stayed with her for a short period of my life. And during that time, I saw her do a lot of these things. I was like, and she taught me how to do it.
What was she really knitting at that time?
She was just knitting sweaters for babies. And I don't know, what are they called? What are vitambas? Those things for covering seats.
You call them vitambas. Well, in Uganda, Uganda, I don't even think they have do they have a word in English?
I have no idea, but they should.
In Uganda, it's not far from it. That's why it was very easy for me to pick on. It's vitambala.
Vitambala.
B. It's a B-I. Vitambala. Vitambala. You know, or vitambala if it's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she used to make a lot of those.
Maybe they're table runners. Sometimes they don't run.
Table runners are different.
Sometimes they don't run.
How funny.
Sometimes they're just floral and, you know, yeah.
So, yeah, there was that. So I already came from a background of, my dad is a carpenter, was a carpenter.
Yeah.
So it's these things that people who are constantly creating things from nothing at all. So when that happens and I'm in this space where, what else am I interested in? I need to figure this out real quick. So the second year, I decide, you know what, I can actually be a writer. Don't ask. But I had this blog.
Oh yeah?
That was mostly confessional writing. And a friend of mine thought I was good, and that was about enough. He was probably lying to me looking back. But, you know.
Were you doubting yourself?
I don't know. It was, have you ever had something you're briefly passionate about?
Briefly,
because, it didn't go past 2 years. But I was very passionate about it. And for a minute there, I thought,
but you know when you do something with your passion.
I know.
Okay. Some people
but the
do
thing
stuff
about
with
passion is, passion without longevity tends to be useless.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm passionate about this right now. But if I can't see it through, then what's the point? Yeah. So it's that also level of commitment, long-term commitment to it. Mm-hmm. So I thought I could write, and I wrote. Right, I did. And I was attending, this writing event.
Oh, yeah.
I was.
Oh, okay.
Looking back at it, those are the most pretentious years of my life. But,
oh my goodness. At least it wasn't so long.
Yeah, but at least I'm confessing to pretend.
But maybe you weren't. Maybe you just didn't believe in yourself.
No, it's not a question of believing in myself. Here's the thing. I believed in myself. I thought I was so good. That's the problem.
That's the problem? How is that a problem? What happened?
No, I don't know how to put this.
How did you run away? What made you run away from it?
What made me
after
run
the
away
2 years?
I just realized it wasn't something I could see through. I couldn't sit long enough to see it through. I didn't like it half as much to be able to see it through.
Oh.
And I don't think also at the end of the day, for something like that, yes, the passion was there, but there was also a point where life got in the way. And you're like, you abandon writing. In my head, I was just like abandoning writing for a while to pursue other, exciting things. But yeah.
Still in law school.
Still in law school.
Yeah.
I'm still in law school. I haven't gone anywhere. I started writing also in second year.
Yeah.
And I wrote way through to third year. And I used to go to poetry events, act like, those things.
Pretend.
I told you, pretentious years of my life. But
oh my goodness,
they were good times.
Okay. Really at least they were good.
They were really good times, to be honest. And I met really amazing people. And it would also be the 2 years that really shaped my ideas as a person. because I think what that taught me was if you're going to walk into a room, forget your ideas. Forget your ideas.
Yeah.
Because for me, expectations tend to ruin a lot of things. Like, when I was coming to meet you, in my head, I was like, okay, what are my expectations? And I was like, you know what, I could forget it, okay? You're walking into a room, and this is someone, like I told you, you had so much soul, and I was looking forward to that. So I stuck with that.
Yeah.
Because if I had all these ideas in my head, it would determine where this conversation would go.
Yeah.
So because the thing about that also, it makes you a bit critical of yourself.
Right.
Okay? Because our ideas or how we think are generally the lenses through we view not just other people but life generally.
Yeah.
So if I already have this specific lens, it means I've already put everything else in a box. And sometimes, where's the fun in that? You know? So
I think it hinders you from experiencing life.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
As it should, like, you know. So yeah, those were the years that shaped a lot of the ideas I had, because that was also the year I decided to be a socialist. Oof, yes.
So
I was testing out, you know, what.
Trying
to figure out.
Like, I really need a moment of silence. Oh my goodness.
I believe
a socialist.
I believe politics are important. And if I wasn't a socialist, what was I? A capitalist? I do not have.
Oh, socialist in that manner.
Yes.
Wait.
What were you thinking?
You don't know that thing? The people that are just there in the media? Social life.
Oh God, no.
That's socialite. Okay, right.
No,
I was going to be like, oh my goodness, Akoth.
I didn't have enough social capital to be a socialite.
Okay.
But
I was going to be like, oh my goodness, this chick. All right, yeah.
So it was, campus was wide and it was heavy with a lot of things. At some point, now that I thought, I started doing yoga. My God, I used to be flexible. I thought I could actually do it.
Yeah,
but you see, you've
really experienced life, my friend.
You remember when I told you what have I not done in this city? Yeah. So yeah, and I felt like those were a huge part of who I then became. Because that was the only way I was going to figure out what works, what doesn't work, where do I want to be, what do I want, But then also while doing all of that, sometime in, I think, 2015, towards the end of 2015, that's when I started to knit. Yes. Yeah. So not knit, you're fine. I started with knitting, but then crochet came along, and I found crochet was faster and way easier.
Is there a difference between knitting and
crochet? There's a huge difference.
Is it actually crocheting or is it said like that, crocheting?
It's crocheting. But thank you. So knitting uses 2 needles. I don't know, you've seen those.
Yeah, I have.
Yes, knitting uses 2 needles, and crochet.
And those are things I've only watched in movies. I've not really seen someone do that.
For real?
Yeah, I've only seen in movies. I've not really seen someone do that. I've only seen people using 1 needle to do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the crochet is the one. Yeah. So at least I'm glad you know that you've experienced that.
I've tried it before.
You can
sort
crochet?
of. I don't know if I still can. When I was 10, we were introduced to that as they introduced. I think they were trying to change the syllabus, and then they failed. So they brought artistic and entrepreneurial subjects. So there was music, there was I think art, and then there was crochet, and then there was. Okay, we didn't call it crochet. These are things I found at an older age. We used to say crochet.
Yeah, crochet. Crochet is just fine.
Yeah, there was crochet, there was embroidery, there was music, there was entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's the only time I experienced that, and I left it at that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But at least you know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So it was easier, way easier and faster at the time. I mean, if I can build something fast, why not?
That was it.
Yeah. So I started crocheting, and I made a beanie and some baby shoes. Oh my God, it was pathetic. I still have them to date. It was bad. It was really bad. But after that, my friend saw the beanie I made, and he was like, "It's really bad, but if you make a good one, I can try and buy it."
Oh yeah.
Because I went for him and I was like, "Is this something you can wear?" Then he's like, "Yeah, I can actually wear it, but if it has a bit of structure, perhaps."
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So after that, I did it, and then I kept doing it, and it was also around that same time that life was happening, and life was happening really fast.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out on the issues of mental health. Writing wasn't cutting it at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried journaling, it wasn't working out, and then I had to find an avenue. I'm not naturally, I expected to be a crier, but I don't really cry, so that wasn't a possible venting avenue. So
it's so funny, like, crying failed.
And I needed to find something.
Yeah.
But I knew the easiest way for me, since I'm already good with my hands, maybe watching something grow.
Oh yeah.
Would actually be, and it worked. It actually really worked. So that's why I kept doing it. And after that, I sold my first scarf, and then he told me someone took it, so I need another one. So I made
that very person that you took the beanie
to. He really believed in my dreams, that one. So you
sent him greetings.
Greetings. So he was like, someone took it, and he bought another one. And then when another person saw it, I was like, I want a scarf. Okay. So I went ahead, and at the time I was selling them at ridiculously low price. My God, I don't believe I was. But I wasn't a business person. So I sold a couple of things, and then things just took off from there organically, and I hadn't quite figured out what I really wanted to do with it. Okay, so this finds me, I was finishing campus. Yeah, I knew very well I didn't want to go to the Kenya School of Law. At least that was clear. I'm going to graduate. I'm a lawyer, but I really didn't want to go to the Kenya School of Law. So
I hear you very well, man. I hear you very well.
I'm glad you did.
I hear you.
I admire you.
Oh my goodness.
So I started selling. Okay, one thing leads to the other, and then I had to figure out what am I good at making, what do I enjoy making, and who do I want to make for.
Is that still 2015?
2016.
We've now moved to 2016.
Yes, we are now.
Had you already decided to come up with Olisa?
No.
Or were you still?
At that point, it didn't even have a name.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. I make things and I sell them once in a while, and that was just it.
Yeah.
And I started looking for work. Post-campus, I started looking for work, and I didn't want to work at law firms because I knew very well...
you hadn't gotten the practicing certificate and all those things.
Yes, I don't want to intern also, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and find something else. So while trying to find something else, I met a friend of mine, and he's like, my writing came back. So then he's like, you're a really good writer.
Yeah.
And I know an organization that's looking for a storyteller, and we think you could be really good at it. So I go there, and it was an NGO. Okay?
Yeah.
And I got to write about women's stories, and how the women experiences at refugee camps, especially when it comes to maternal health. That was really exciting for me at the time. So I really enjoyed that aspect. So and then I was like, now that I'm here, I can actually get into communications. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, he gave me a really glowing recommendation. So the next time I applied for a job, and the guys asked me, what's your background? And I'm like, I'm a lawyer, so you have zero to no communications background. I'm like, yeah, I do not. But for my past experience. So if you're willing to bet on me, please do. Bet on me, they did.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I'm still crocheting in the background.
Yeah.
I'm still crocheting because that's something I really loved. And at the time also, I had someone else. So when the orders started coming in, I had someone else who was also helping, you know.
While you get the money somewhere else
to fund this hobby, aka dream. Also, you know. So so I did that for a while. Then in 2017, it had a name. I decided, you know what? Let me just create an Instagram account. Put my work out there, see where this goes. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not have any business structure of any sort.
How did you come up with Olisa? What does it mean? Does it have a meaning?
The name I really didn't know what to tell you is Elizabeth. So my name is Elizabeth. Why are you laughing?
It makes sense now. All this while, you know, I asked Mari, I was like, is it a word? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. If it is a word, I don't know anything. Right.
So my name is Elizabeth, and where I come from, anyone called Elizabeth is Olisa.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
No, I thought it was a combination of Otieno and then Elizabeth being Lisa. Wow.
So Olisa just came up, and most of it is because where else? It reminded me of home. It's only home where that happens. It reminded me of home, and those were the very people that inspired the idea behind making things. My dad being a carpenter, and my aunt, and my mom. I'm like, you know what?
That's profound.
For me, it's going to be the constant reminder of home, because at the end of the day, at the heart of it, even if when it comes to the values around it. Okay, aside from craftsmanship and whatnot, Olisa is for the everyday wardrobe. You are just a person living your life, and you need to be inspired within that space, which eventually for me it's what home is. What is home? That is eventually what home is. That space where you feel that I am myself, I'm at my best. So that's where Olisa came from.
I'm not first.
And initially it was Olisa crochet.
Oh yeah.
And then I needed to, you know, at some point I'm going to have to grow. Okay. And giving one category.
That was all happening for you to feel like this really has to grow. This was all happening in 2017.
Yes.
I think that's when I saw your work. Maybe. I don't even know how I landed on it. But I knew there was this brand.
Yeah.
I always wanted to know who it was that was behind it, but I didn't know. I just kept seeing the models, and I was like, okay, I think I need to make peace with the fact that I don't know the person.
Okay, fine. I try to separate. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I try to separate myself from it as much as possible, because at the end of the day, for me, I do not want to be the face of the brand. It's bigger than myself. I tend to think so.
Yeah.
So yes, I like to separate the two sometimes when I can.
When you can.
And I know it's not entirely possible, so I do what I can.
You're the heart. You're the center.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, when I was thinking of eventually the bigger dream is to have a fully blown lifestyle brand, and to have a lifestyle brand, I have to just offer more than one category. At the time, I was only doing purely swimsuits. Yeah. So when I was thinking of doing more, that's when I changed it.
How did you think about the swimsuits though? In crochet.
So here's the thing.
How did that idea come up?
I'm going to, I don't know how to say it without, okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
You're seated somewhere one day. I don't know how to swim. This is sad, but I do not know how to swim. I'm learning this year. That's my goal.
Oh, at least you're learning. At least you're learning. At least you're learning.
So I'm seated somewhere, and I was with a friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh my God, I really want to go out swimming, but I do not have a swimming costume."
Okay.
Okay. And she was like, "I don't know. I have to go swimming tomorrow." Yeah, and I think it was on a Saturday evening, and most places are closed, so there's no way I think I can get a swimsuit between now and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know. Can we create something? Do you have fabric and blah blah blah? And she's like, no, that's too much work. She's a tailor.
Yeah.
That's just too much work. And I was like, you know what? Let me try and crochet something. So yeah, we messed around with yarn and sizing and blah blah blah, and we had a bikini. And then we go to the pool. I was looking really good by the poolside.
Oh, I couldn't go in.
I couldn't go in. Right. So somewhere in between, I was like, you know what? I enjoyed making that bikini, but mostly because...
So you made 2 sets in one night?
In one night. I'm mostly just... The reason why I make for women mostly is I'm heavily inspired by the female body. Because it has so much, like there's so many stories to tell, and it's just, you know, it's vibrant. But yes, so
radiant.
Yes. Just imagine if you get the right bikini.
Yeah.
You know, you're unstoppable, basically.
I see the models you use. I'd be like, what?
I was afraid that would come up.
I'd be like, whoa. Okay, check that out.
I think the problem, I think the problem I've gotten so far is people now tend to focus on the models and on the products, and I need to find a way of changing that. But yeah, but also, isn't that the whole point of an outfit?
Yeah.
So you remember the woman, you remember the person wearing it.
You know how the patterns go about their bodies.
Yeah,
and things like that.
It was like if you're in the right outfit, you're remarkable. You're not anyone forget.
Yeah.
That's basically. So yeah. So that's where the whole bikini ideas came in. And then I started making more and started having a couple of muses, and I have friends who, you know, this looks like this, okay. Yeah.
What has been your experience with Olisa?
On the business side?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard. Because like I told you earlier, initially, I didn't imagine I'd have to be a business person. Like generally, I didn't imagine I'd have to. I just sat, was this in world, my utopia of, you know, if you're good, perhaps, you know, things will just work out. You don't have to be the best. But yeah, sadly, I had to. Okay, and mostly, and I had to quite very recently, actually, 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, because you can't really run a business without knowing what's going on. I enjoy the creative aspect. This is it for me. But I can't get to enjoy that if I do not get the business aspect right. So yeah. I just had my brother, he's an accountant, and he was like, you know what, start with a simple thing. This is what you need to do. These are the entries, blah, 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 blah. And I hate it. I still do. I stopped doing it. So, yeah. Someone else is doing it for me, but that had to happen for this other side to work. I believe sometimes, the other day I was having a conversation with someone and they were asking me, what's the one thing like you have to get right? And usually for me is, yes, the business aspect is awesome and amazing, but if you're going to run, say, a handmade business, for example, a business that's mostly based on craftsmanship and mostly nothing else, to be honest. I mean, the creativity is a huge part of it, but you have to have like that unicorn moment. Like, what's like the one product? Like if someone sees this one, someone just knows this is an Olisa product.
Yeah.
Like, if someone says, I didn't have, honestly, I didn't have that product until this year. I did not have.
Until this year?
I did not have that product.
Until this year?
Yes.
2021?
I know.
Okay, what is that?
So here's the thing. Oh, it's that sweater, bubbly, colorful sweater.
That?
Yes. So it's
that. Oh my god, that?
It's
I love, sometimes, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm not yet purchased, right? But sometimes I'm like, let me go and look at that sweater again. And then I look at the process like, I'll come back.
I'll be here when you're ready.
I'm like, oh my goodness. They are beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Oh yeah?
Yeah. So I hadn't had that I hadn't stumbled upon it because initially I also didn't know what my product would look like.
Yeah.
Yes, I was making bikinis and I was known for bikinis and I love making bikinis. I'm still known for making bikinis, but they weren't really my best seller up to this moment. Like, you know that one product that you've sold so much of, you can literally make it in your sleep. It's that one. Yes. Yeah. Because I feel like it's that one sweater that really opened up a lot of things for me.
Oh yeah.
Yes, because I had an outside market even before because unfortunately, and this is very sad, I'm not even proudly saying it, I have more international clients than local clients. I'm not proud of it at all, and I'm working on this very hard because, but anyway.
It's understandable. Yes. I feel like it's very much understandable.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Jesus.
Come on. But here's the thing.
You even have something in common with Jesus. Your father's a carpenter.
I'm just a step away.
It makes sense, but you give it time.
Because I don't think at this point it's a question of people do not appreciate. I think people actually appreciate it. But I think there's appreciation from the point of price points.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so maybe.
We're broke, man. We're looking for money for Ugali. We're looking for money for Ugali. You can't be dragging us.
I have everything, something for everyone, trust me.
Yeah. So yeah, we need to hear that. Please say it out loud.
You do. I do have something for everyone.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about crochet. It's like fabric. There is silk, there is cotton, there is acrylic.
Oh, there is. Yeah. There are types of
lycra. There are types of yarn.
I was going to say thread.
No, it's cool. Even thread works.
Okay, types of yarn.
Yeah, they're different types.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Like for example, if I have to make a baby thing, I can't use acrylic. I have to use a cotton blend. Also, or cotton. But yes, like we're talking about earlier about standards.
Yeah.
And standardization. But yes. So, and all these things, they have different price points because, silk is...
Oh, yeah?
Silk yarn is equally expensive.
Oh, yeah?
And if you get to appreciate it, you know what you're wearing. And I think the other thing also
But I think it would also need someone to really understand the different types of yarn. I know that now.
Initially in my head, maybe, that's where I was going through this whole figuring out who my client is wrong, is I automatically expected to have an intelligent client. Like, not in the sense...
Oh my goodness.
No, like, hear me out. This is not shade or anything. I'm just saying, an intelligent client in the sense that you know the value of what you're wearing. Not necessarily that it's silk or it's cotton, but you understand the value, if not just what it looks like or what it feels like, but the processes behind it.
Yeah.
Because the question I get the most usually is, why are the prices so high?
Oh.
Yes, and that's the one constant question I get. Through and through. And half of it, that's what I'm saying initially, I just expected to, if you're buying from me, you should be understanding what you're buying. But that's wrong. That's not how marketing works. We know that.
No, not necessarily that, but I think, the pricing when it comes to factory-made products and handmade products, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
These are people that can make, maybe thousands of pieces in just a day.
Yeah.
And then for the handmade, it requires so much input, so much work, so much investment, which I think we have not come to a place of appreciation. We want cheap. I mean, like I said, we're still looking for ugali.
Yeah.
So we don't understand how this is expensive, and then something from China is cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, but then because the question, basically, if you're being honest, most people, when it comes to clothes, it doesn't matter. They just ask how much. You're like, okay, here's the story behind it. How much? Like.
No one wants to know the story.
How much? Can I afford it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what most people. And I mean, the world is changing now. I mean, we have a more conscious consumer when it comes to in the fashion world. People are more. They want to ask, where were my clothes made? Were they under ethical conditions? Were the people paid? Was it fair trade? I mean, that's a beautiful thing to watch, especially now. And it means we are finally having people who are waking up to the realities of what I'm wearing is beyond just clothes. This item was made somewhere, by someone. I want to know under what conditions they were working. What else? What's the fabric? Where was it sourced? Yeah. So I think on that front, I'm happy. It's beautiful to watch because now we have people who are. Fashion used to be just one of those things. To be honest, no one really cared about the details of it. We just want to look beautiful.
Of course.
Beyond beauty and models and glamour. No one was thinking there was politics in fashion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that now we get to have actual conversations around fashion.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling, just walk into a space or you have a client asking, where do you source your yarn from?
Oh.
Yeah, because some of them can't buy. If you bought your yarn from China, they're not going to buy it.
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's just that level of understanding the impact of fashion now, not just when it comes to climate change, blah, 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 but the people. And I think that's also now people start to appreciate craftsmanship more. Like you understand why a dress is probably $620 as opposed to $62. Things like that. Yeah.
So how many products do you have under Olisa K? Should we actually say Olisa K or
Olisa Kenya? Yes.
Olisa Kenya.
Yes.
Do we have to? Yeah. Okay.
Do we have to
mention the country?
Yes, we have.
Thank you. So
that's
how many
country of origin?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, there are very many products we have made in China all the time. We can't breathe. So yes, please. How many products do you have under Olisa Kenya?
I have a lot of beginnings. But right now, so far, we have 62.
62 products.
Yes.
They have particular names to them.
Yes, they do.
Oh yeah. That's interesting.
Well, gradually. But yes.
62 products. They need to check them out then. They should be checking out products.
Outside of bikinis.
Outside of bikinis.
Yeah.
62 is wide. And then all these things that you've gone through, the growth, the business, the figuring out of yourself. How are you keeping your mental health in check?
I dance. I'm not good at it, but I dance a lot, literally. What I do, I told you I really love music. Music is a huge part of my days mostly. So what I do is I try to stay active as much as I can.
Yeah.
And half of it is dancing. I dance every morning before I leave the house. I put upbeat music and I dance every morning like clockwork.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, I love doing it.
And then at the end of the day, let me say you're burnt out at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of making that product, that product. When you finished it, you still danced?
Sometimes, yes, sometimes not, mostly. Sometimes when I've had a bad day, honestly, the last thing I want to do is dance. I just want to sit down, take a cup of tea, and enjoy my tea. Like, I don't know how to explain this. Have you ever taken tea and just taking tea? But then you sit down and take your tea and just be present in that moment of, I love tea.
Take the tea mindfully.
Yes. So it's that and listening to nice, good soul or, neo soul music. And just sit down and just exist and enjoy,
Yeah.
Yes. I love, I don't want to call it routine, but a huge part of my life is informed by routine. I love routine. Thing about routine is I'm doing the same thing every day. After a while, you're going to notice something else. Yeah. I walked this path 3 times. Oh, there's a flower. There is something. I don't know. It centers me mostly.
Yeah.
I can thrive under chaos, but not for long.
Not for long.
Yes, but also crochet is also a huge part of my mental health process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Because it's it's a repetitive thing.
It's repetitive. I can just
when something becomes repetitive, there is a way how it sort of, I think, makes you more attentive to detail, and then before you know it, you're focused in one place, and you're not thinking about all the troubles of the world. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So for the people that want to buy products from Olisa Kenya, how do they get in touch with you? How do they get in touch with the company?
We are Olisa Kenya on Instagram, at Olisa Kenya. Our website, www.olisakenya.com.
Please say that.
Yes.
Please say the website, right?
Olisakenya.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Where else?
Yeah. It's actually all those two, because we do a lot of pop-ups, but we do not have a physical store yet. So mostly we just do
Facebook isn't active?
Pop-ups. Yeah, okay, fine. Yes, Facebook. I just assumed it's Olisa Kenya everywhere.
You need to cater for us, the Facebookers. I'm side-eyeing you like, mention us.
Okay. Olisa Kenya literally everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay. Yes.
Is it there on Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it's on.
Anything like calls? Do they make calls? Like WhatsApp?
Oh yeah. Do I give the number?
Can you?
Okay, yes, I can. You can reach us on 0725.
Please put the code, my friend. The country code.
Oh, +254 725 37 56 30. I'll be more than happy to hear from you.
All right. I'm hopeful that they get to enjoy the products and the brand itself. I am wearing Olisa Kenya. Friend. And
that's the kind of spirit I hope to invoke. Like, you're proud that you are wearing Olisa Kenya. I mean,
wait for us, my friend. Wait for us.
I can't wait.
Wait for us. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
And gracing us with your presence.
The pleasure is all mine.
My episode takeaway is: give yourself time until you discover what really aligns with your spirit. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka in your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends. They need to know that this virtual space is what they've been looking for all this time. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter, our handle is at HTNK Podcast. HTNK is all caps lock and podcast is in small case, but it's all one word, at HTNK Podcast. You can also reach us on our email, htnkpodcast@gmail.com. For the email, it's all in small case. Your reviews are welcome, and I really look forward to hearing from you. Catch you in the next episode, and until then, remember that growth is a process.